I'm going to call to order the 2,431st meeting of the Darien Police Commission, which is a regular meeting. Second order of business is acceptance of minutes of March 3rd, 7th, and 10th.
Do them separately, or you move that we approve all three?
We can do all three.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve all 3 minutes of March 3rd, March 7th, and March 10th.
Move. So move.
Any other discussion on them? All those in favor?
Aye.
Chief, correspondence?
We have copious amounts of correspondence this month, all positive, which is good.
We usually do.
I have a letter here from Chief Jeff Kreitz, my compatriot in Ridgefield. Lieutenant Hedema, now Captain Hedema, assisted on the promotional oral boards for both Sergeant and Lieutenant. Her participation provided invaluable expertise and knowledge. Please extend my gratitude to Lieutenant Hedema, now Captain Hedema, for taking time out of her busy schedule to assist the Ridgefield Police Department. That's number one.
Chief, do we ever reciprocate and have them sit in on our interviews?
Yes, we do. If we use that method, we don't always use that method, but we do. Especially for the assessment center. Typically, the assessment center will bring Connecticut chiefs, lieutenants, sergeants in to conduct that. So, yes, we do.
And Captain, congrats again. Welcome to your first commission meeting.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
As Captain.
Letter number 2. Thank you. Letter to the chief, but on behalf of all men and women of the police department from the depot, for our participation in the 2022 Depot Dip, which was held down at the waterfront, and raising money for the Feifel family. So that was from John Novak, the program director at the depot, thanking us for our assistance. Next, we have a, let's see. Oh, that's a double dip. We also got a similar letter addressed to Captain Marin for the Depot Dip for having Marine 127 and our scuba team and our Marine Division on site for that Depot Dip.
Were these people required to dip along with the?
No, we were there to
on
dip.
land?
We were there to dip only if there was an emergency. So I don't believe any officers took the dip.
And Captain Marin,
They were ready.
next year you'll consider doing
Yes,
it.
I think we
What do you
should.
think? Some convincing.
I
Daring-minded,
might sponsor
I mean.
that. Might be on our list of things.
It was a good turnout.
Next on the agenda is a thank you letter from the South Central Criminal Justice Administration Group, thanking us for allowing Lieutenant Nick Aranzulo to serve as a panelist for their oral boards for the position of a sergeant. That was for the Newtown Police Department. So he served on that. They were much appreciative of his services as well. After the trying week that we had last week, we got a delivery of sandwiches and a nice thank you note from Patty Baumgartner, who's a resident here in Darien. Chief Anderson, all police officers, thank you for all you do for our town, yesterday and always. Much appreciated to Mr. and Mrs. Baumgartner for the donation of some food for our officers. Lastly, got an employee commendation for Officer Rich Flood. Someone involved in a motor vehicle accident stopped at the police station following the collision, and comment is Officer Flood was so good at explaining the process of what we needed to do. He was kind to my son and made him feel safe after he was shook up. He took the time that evening to explain our options on the phone. I really go through everything I needed to do. I so appreciated his time and energy. And that's from a Norwalk resident. Kudos to Officer Flood. We get a lot of compliments on Officer Flood and his ability to interact properly with the public. So noted here.
I shared with Captain Marin a couple of weeks ago. Officer Flood got another compliment from one of our residents when he responded to car burglary, and they're very complimentary of the time that he spent with them and explaining the process and his response afterwards. So,
well done. So, copious, all positive, which I like to see.
Captain Marin, department activity?
Yes. This is from the period from March 3rd until yesterday, April 6th. On March 7th, the customer at Whole Foods stated that a wallet was stolen from her purse while she left her shopping cart unattended. On March 7th, the BMW dealership on Ledge Road was burglarized and 2 vehicles were subsequently stolen during the overnight. On March 12th, the Darien Police Accident Investigation Team, including Captain Hedema responded to Danbury Road in Wilton to assist with a fatal motor vehicle accident. On March 14th, a customer at Trader Joe's stated that a wallet was stolen from her purse while she left her shopping cart unattended. On the 28th, a customer in the parking lot of Trader Joe's was distracted by a suspect who lured her away from her vehicle momentarily while a second suspect stole her wallet from inside of her vehicle. On April 4th, a man working as a contractor at a Hecker Avenue residence was assaulted by unknown suspect on the property, who also removed $15 from the victim's pant pocket. This incident is under investigation by the Detective Division. During this time period, 4 catalytic converters were stolen from vehicles parked in 3 different commercial parking lots and 1 condominium parking lot. We had 1 residential burglary, 2 commercial burglaries. We made 3 DWI arrests, 2 auto theft arrests stemming from cars that were stolen over the past 3 months. We responded to 10 domestic disturbances, 2 of which involved arrests, 2 incidents involving fraud or phone scams, 5 reported stolen cars, 3 of which were unlocked with the keys in it, 4 burglaries of motor vehicles that were left unlocked. We had 34 motor vehicle accidents, 7 of which involved minor injuries, and most of which occurred on the post road. Our patrol division conducted 131 traffic stops during this period, and some of the training our officers went through over the last couple of weeks were crisis intervention training. We had 2 officers become field training officers. We had some of our records personnel attend a property and evidence seminar up at Roger Williams, I think, in Bristol, Rhode Island. And we had some officers attend a class involving law enforcement active diffusion strategies. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And then maybe Captain Hedema could explain the training that's going on right now for about half of our department tonight.
Yeah, so
which is why we're in our old room.
right. So tonight we have taser training and active shooter training. So taser training's here for 2 hours. Then they go up to the high school and we do active shooter, and then we call them waterfall drills. So they're not necessarily active shooter, but they're decision making, quick scenarios. So there's about 5 scenarios. They go in, they're confronted with something, and they have to deal with it. And that's pretty much it.
That's at 6 o'clock tonight, right, or something?
Yeah, 6 to 10.
Yeah.
So the active shooter is about 3 hours, where we give them different scenarios. They go in with their patrol rifle and deal with a shooter, possibly.
And are you there again tomorrow for training as well?
No, so we did tonight, and then on the 13th when school's out, we're going to do 2 sessions.
13th.
Yeah, on the 13th.
I just wanted to add those scenarios that the officers go through. There are role players involved too. So some of our senior officers, some of our supervisors act as, suspects or other involved parties. It kind of adds to the realism of the training.
And how often do we do these 2 types of training?
That's once a year.
Okay, any other questions on department activity? Public comment? I don't see anyone here for public comment, but I don't know if anyone else will show up. We will move to old business. Building issues update?
I should have invited Captain Shredder's retired to come and make a cameo. He can come back and, give a...
I'm sure that is not what he would like to come back to talk about.
I'll give Captain Hedema the first month pass and I'll address the building issues. Next time we talk on building issues, it will be her.
Lucky her.
Can't wait.
I appeared before the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance on Monday and Tuesday night respectively, asking for $15,000 of contingency transfer into our normal building maintenance line item. We budget about $19,000 a year for general building maintenance. That's not things that we know like diesel fuel and the known thing, but just for unexpected items that break or need to be replaced. Unfortunately, in the last fiscal year, as the Commission knows, our CCTV cameras, 7 or 8 of them or 9 of them had to be replaced. And our front door and our main side door for civilians, which are electromechanical heavy-duty door systems, they needed significant repair. So those 2 items alone ate up virtually my entire $19,000 that was earmarked for general maintenance. So We did get 15,000 to get us through to the end of the fiscal year. I'm sitting on a couple $1,000s worth of repairs that we were waiting on until the money was officially, given to us. I mean, I hope to spend out of that 15,000. I'm hoping I give the town back 10,000 on June 30th because we don't have any other major repairs that we have to do. That's my goal, not to spend any more than we have to. In addition, we asked for $14,244, which was needed to get us over the finish line for the HVAC repair. That's basically driven by the DPW. They know the nuts and bolts of what we have to do to get this over the finish line. Has to do with pressurization sensors and balancing of the entire building. I told both boards that if I never mentioned the word HVAC again, I would be a happy camper. So they did give us those funds as well to get us over the finish line there. So I'm hoping that we are finally going to be done with HVAC issues.
We would like to take building issues update off the agenda.
Once a
So
year
we
would be
concur,
fine with
yes.
me.
What I don't see on here is COVID, so I'm just going to be grateful for that. But hiring update.
Well, that one I will defer to Captain Hidemo, who will give you an update on hiring.
So we have one entry level going to the academy April 22nd. He's being sworn in on the 14th of this month. And we have 3 laterals still in the process, out-of-state laterals.
How much longer is that, the latter process, the other 3, about, not quoting you, is it another 2 to 3 weeks before they get through the background checks and everything, or is it longer than that?
No, I would say about 2 weeks. Once I get, the last one's coming on the 12th for psych and drug screens. And once we get the results from those, then I'm going to forward their records to the academy and get a yes or no if they can be comparative or if we have to send them to an academy.
And Officer Jarvis is doing well. He's expected.
He's doing great, yeah.
A few months, is it, or 3
July.
4 months?
July. So
Okay, that's good.
we've sent, he's had 2 practical skills days so far that we sent our FTOs up to, and they all have come back saying he's excellent. He says he loves it. He's excited. He's off on the 15th, so he's going to come down and ride with Amanda, who's a new FTO. She's excited about it too. And that looks good. He's happy.
And the 3 laterals, just go over me real quick where they
Sure.
are in the process. They've all gotten through the polygraph.
So we lost one out of state,
Correct.
a New York
Yeah.
person, to the polygraph. The other New York is through. She had her physical, stress test, drug screen. We're waiting on the results.
Okay.
The one Burlington officer came yesterday and did his psych and his drug screens and physical. And so he has to have the psych still, with a psychologist online. And then the other Burlington is coming on the 12th to do his psych and the drug screen.
Okay. And then the next step after that would be send their records to.
They passed
Post
everything
and-
else. Backgrounds are looking pretty good. They're almost done. Yeah, and then we send it up to post and hopefully they
Okay.
give the okay.
We get an answer.
And from the candidates from the north, New Canaan Police took a candidate from that police department. So clearly a comparative certification is achievable because they just did it in the recent past, which gives me a level of comfort that we should be able to do that. Maybe a little
Right.
bit of a heavy lift, but we can get it done.
The only problem with that is we basically have to wait until post council has their meeting. So I'll send it up to post, they review it, but then they have a meeting. And then once they say yes or no, if they say yes to the comparative, then we have to wait for classes for that. So usually Elliott Spector does them every so often, every couple of months. So we just have to look into when that's available. So it could be another 2-3 months till they're
But at any
in a
rate,
class.
certainly an expedited process from the 6-month police academy.
Yeah.
Right. And then they need-
the 10-week field training, which we truncate typically for
Yeah,
out-of-state lateral
so
transfers.
So entry level is 400 hours, and then out of state would be 200. So half.
Okay, well, let's hope that in a month have more updates. Any other old business since it is a regular meeting? We good?
Well, we have some items to add.
Oh,
that didn't make the agenda, but since this is you want to do them now?
I'm happy to do them now.
Okay.
I'll give you this, Chief, because you probably better explaining what we'll need to do for that. But Leslie Silva has organized and coordinated another date for a Coffee with a Cop event. That's going to come up on May 14th, which is a Saturday, 10 to 12, and we're going to be at Upper Crust again. One of our inaugural events for Coffee with a Cop was at Upper Crust. So we're circling back, and of course we're going to look
Saturday,
for
Jim?
Saturday, yeah.
Sorry. What are the times?
10 to 12, 980 Post Road. The Chief, the only other thing I thought of, Chief, is our patches. I wanted to make mention of that.
Oh, I did let the commission know that this is Autism Awareness Month, and as we always did, that we were wearing our autism patches for those officers who wish to do that. And again, we have our Velcro, so we can use the same shirts for breast cancer awareness. So that's why you see the different patches here tonight, the autism awareness.
They look good.
Do look good.
Kind of bright, you know. People look at you kind of funny, like. You know.
We need a little brightness in the April showers. It has been a week of weather.
Brings awareness.
Certainly does that.
That is the idea.
And then the boat loaders.
And do we have for the shield?
That's actually on, that's an
Okay,
item
that's
under
on.
new business.
So as the commission well knows, we've been trying to repower Marine 127. I think since Noah built the Ark, it's been a long process of trying to get new boat motors on our vessel. You know that we could not get the Yamaha motors that we thought we were going to be able to get, although they were much more expensive than we originally budgeted. And it was brought to my attention that it makes sense, clearly in this day and age, the boat manufacturers get to the top of the list, right? Because Pursuit or Grady White or Boston, they can't sell a boat without a motor. So repowering motors get down to the bottom of the list, even for law enforcement. So the good news and the flip side of this is that the bait shop, who's been our long-standing vendor since I've been in the Marine Division in the 80s, still has two identical Evinrude 300 horsepower motors, engines that we have on our boat now. They still have them brand new in stock. So, the Marine Division guys and the general thought on boating is moving away from two-stroke engines to four-stroke engines, and that's what we were looking to do. A little cleaner burning, a little more life expectancy out of a four-stroke engine, but necessity is the mother of invention. We have two engines sitting there that we can drop in right into that boat.
Without all the refits.
We don't
that
have to
we're gonna
refit someday we're putting it down out 5 or 6 years.
I was going to
now.
ask you, it's about 5 years,
Yeah.
5 or 6 years or so.
I think our current engines are 7 years old now. They were the original engines that came
5 or
on that
6,
boat.
yeah.
5, 6, 7 years. Originally, they were not going to give us any trade-in on our existing engines. We were going to have to sell them on our own. They did not want to take them in trade. They're now willing to take them in trade, give us $10,000 for those two motors. So we're looking at to drop in two brand new motors, identical on the back of our vessel now, $40,390. I don't remember the
Minus
exact.
10, or
No,
that includes 10?
Right, that includes the 10. I believe we got a budgetary capital request in the $33,000 mark.
It was
And then
close to 34.
34,
Yeah,
and then we were,
something like that, yeah.
the commission approved additional expenditures from the alarm fund. We thought it was going to be a hefty amount of money, but now, of course, the ask for the alarm fund is going to be much less, maybe $7,000 or $8,000. That gets us in place. It gets us 5 years. Full warranty on the
I
motors
was just
as
gonna
well.
say, since Evinrude was on its way out and all of the, we're still, Bait Shop will still service them and we're good.
Yeah,
Yes.
there will always be places servicing these motors.
Yeah.
Maybe not convenient right
Right.
there. Bait shop may not last forever, who knows? But there are certainly dealers who will service Evinrude engines. So, just update on that. That's a no-brainer for me.
That's a good update,
We
yes.
just have to get it done. It'll be a day or two out of the water to get it back in business. So,
Yeah.
that's
and
the
then we
update
can-
on that.
That's a
What is
good
the timing
update.
on that? We don't know yet, when they're able to actually put them on, do we know? Or?
I know it will only take a day's work,
Okay, so
but we
easy.
haven't set a date yet. I think the sooner the better, probably, because there are some events popping up on our calendar that the Marine Division personnel are gonna need to be at.
This is,
even this month.
this requires the police commission's blessing that we're going this route. We don't need any additional ask from the capital budget.
We already approved
Yeah.
the alarm funds.
Yeah, so it's be significantly less than you already approved. So,
Nope, all good.
okay.
Let's see, that's a good agenda item.
It's a nice find, because otherwise you would have been waiting for these motors for some time.
Well, and refitting the boat and get into.
The dealer even said, the vendor even said, you should probably look at something else.
Yeah.
The way things were backed up for you and them.
Let's hope
So
in
it's nice to
7
have-
years, we will not be this backed up. I'm trying to.
It's nice to have this as an option, that's for sure.
COVID will be over.
Goodness gracious. Okay, anything else you want to add under old business? You can certainly add as we go along if you think of anything. New business, traffic issues, we have a few things. First, request for new crosswalk at Middlesex Middle School. Who is going to take
Again,
the
Captain
lead?
Shredders is probably sitting on his couch watching the meeting here. We'll watch it on
Laughing.
tape. So we did get a request for a crosswalk at Middlesex Middle School. The commission, I got it on via email, and it also came on hard copy, which is in your folder. There's a resident of Hollow Tree Ridge Road opposite Middlesex Middle School who says there's a public footpath next to his property which runs from Hollow Tree to Colony Road. This path is used by school children and commuters as a shortcut through on the way to and from school and the train station. From my window, I watch children running across the road in front of traffic, normally when the road is busiest at school drop-off and pickup times. I would like to suggest that the town install a crosswalk at this location so that it is safer for the children to cross the road. There is also need for stairs or a ramp from the road to the sidewalk. And this just gives us an opportunity for anybody who may be watching on Channel 79 just to say why we can't put a crosswalk there. You know, back in front.
Can you just be very specific
So
on where it is?
I'll give it.
Yes, I will.
So if you're
Okay.
going on Hollow Tree
Mhm.
towards the post road and the school is on your left,
Yes, sir.
as you hit the school, right, the school is directly to your left. If you stopped right there and looked right, there are a bunch of houses there. In between a couple of the houses, there's a fence on one side and a fence on it, a little, like, you can just see that, like, a very
path.
narrow path. And kids will come up there,
Oh,
so.
it's backing into Colony, so the Colony
Yeah,
kids come
so they go
through
in
there.
between these houses
Oh.
It's
and they try to cross the road.
Yes.
What they don't do is they don't take a left, go all the way up to the
Correct.
crosswalk, or take a right and go all the way down that crosswalk. They cross there. And as you know,
Yes.
as Brent and I know every day, that both ways is
A parking lot.
super jammed up,
Yeah.
right? So these kids sometimes just
Dart in.
dart right in there.
And I won't suggest, I think it's fact-based. I mean, you also see a lot of parents dropping kids off on like Henry Street as an example, so that they don't wait in line and the kids cross there. And as Commissioner Cunningham put very well, you have both Middlesex, or you have a signalized intersection there, you have a crosswalk there, and you have a crossing guard there, right? On the opposite end, you have a crosswalk and a crossing guard as well. So that's where people really should be crossing.
Okay, I just wanted it to be clear
But
what
there
we're
is,
talking
just to be
about.
clear, there is not an intersection there. It is just a row of houses on the right that kids kind of come
Yes.
through to.
I just didn't, when it said Colony Road, I didn't want people's mental to be up. It's the back
The back.
cutting through
Correct.
in front of the school. Okay,
And
carry
the
on.
School side of the road, where the sidewalk actually is elevated.
Elevated, right.
And I think the chief will get to,
When
there
you
used to be
cross
steps,
over,
but
Yeah, it's a hill.
It's a hill,
In
yeah.
the course of
It's-
history, there used to be concrete steps there.
Correct.
Back pre-automobile when people walked to school, right? But for several reasons here, and it's just a good time to, again, educate the folks of, while we're 100% in favor of safety, especially for school children, there's reasons why a crosswalk cannot be installed there. First, it's a mid-block crosswalk. And mid-block crosswalks, they do exist in some parts of Darien. We may have one or two of them left. Let me just give you an example. We have one by Henley School in the Rhoton Presbyterian Church. The state wanted to take that crosswalk out because they do not and will not support mid-block crosswalks. The LTA and me as the captain prevailed on the state to leave that crosswalk there because it services the Rhoton Presbyterian Church on Sunday, because folks park in the Henley School parking lot. But now, for that mid-block crosswalk, we're getting rapid rectangular flashing beacons going in there, which are going to be the flashing yellow lights that activate when someone actually wants to cross. So that gives that mid-block crosswalk a much, much higher level of safety with those flashing lights.
And for the school children during the day, there is another crosswalk called 50 feet up with a crossing
Yes.
guard that they use.
The school children,
Yeah, they go both. They go-
should not be crossing
And they-
in that crosswalk.
As someone who
They
drives
could
that.
legally, but
Well,
But
and
there
on
is the-
Sundays, the church puts out
out the bollards.
the bollards,
as well.
and it's during church time. It's definitely
So
well marked.
mid-block crosswalks are not best practice for legal traffic concerns. That's one. Number two is, the gentleman, the resident asked to, put some stairs. We cannot install a crosswalk to stairs unless the crosswalk can be traversed by all roadway users, wheelchair users, people with walkers, people walking dogs. You can't have a crosswalk that goes
It's
to a
not
staircase.
ADA compliant.
It's just not compliant. Could a ramp be put at that side of the, I don't believe a ramp could be put on that topography in front of the school, on the east side of Hollow Tree as you're driving up. Because from grade to where the sidewalk is, it's probably 6-7 feet.
It's a good-
I'm not sure how you could even do
You
that.
wouldn't be able to.
Lastly-
Not at that slope.
Lastly, a crosswalk encourages, or at least gives the approval that this has been vetted and this is a safer place to cross. We can't put a crosswalk to private property, to a footpath. I don't know who owns that property, but the town certainly doesn't own it. So you'd be saying cross here to somebody's private property to use this path. So those are some of the reasons why we can't really put a crosswalk there.
I'll suggest one other thing too, given the traffic and the amount of people, including myself and Commissioner Cunningham, drop our kids off there each day. You have big SUVs there, and if theoretically you had a crosswalk there, you have a blind, you're looking to the right to try to cross, you could be completely blocked. You will not see an oncoming car, right, in that crosswalk that is not stopping, and that's not good either. So I think the right thing to do is cross at either intersection.
Stanford High School had a mid-block crosswalk directly in front of Stanford High, and they had a student hit and killed. We didn't have rapid rectangular flashing beacons or a hawk system. It was just a crosswalk. I know when you really think about it, until you think about it, you don't think that just putting the crosswalk in, okay, it's going to make it safer. There's a crosswalk there. A lot of people think that we just go out, with a pail of paint and paint a crosswalk, that it gives a higher level of safety, and that's not always the case, as the commission knows.
I would like to put a finer point on it, that sometimes it decreases safety because it gives the pedestrian a false sense of security that, I am now safe and people have to stop, and the reality is if you tangle with a car, you're going to lose, and if they're not so sometimes it is.
At the end of the day, we
Decreases.
cannot put a mid-block crosswalk there because of the topography where the sidewalk is. It can't be done.
Okay.
One of the other things we could do is I could reach out to the acting SRO to have a conversation with the school staff. And if it comes up in a newsletter or whatever, we would recommend that we wouldn't want kids crossing there and to seek proper, safer ways to walk to school.
Yep, that would be a good start. Okay, there's no action needed there. Discussion on Hoyt Street traffic concerns. Chief, is that you?
It might be Commissioner Hayes.
That's Hoyt. I'll do Oxridge. I think Upper Hoyt, you were gonna
No, on
discuss.
Upper
or you want me
Hoyt, as the commission knows, we've been talking about sidewalks and other safety enhancements, again, for quite some time, well more than a decade. The sidewalk conversation's been going on for that whole time. And some of the residents up there, and not, I can see their point. They come to the town we point them to the state points them back to us, and they seem like we just keep pointing at each other as far as anything that could happen on Hood Street, right? It was my understanding, at the end of the day, that the state was not, or the town was not going to install sidewalks on Upper Hood Street. That the state was okay with it if the town wanted to do it, and the town put the bill, and that never, through the Public Infrastructure Advisory Commission, and it never went anywhere. Well, we have email correspondence from some residents up there that there may be some movement from the state that they might be willing to put in sidewalks at the state's expense on Upper Hoyt Street. Now again, although you folks are the legal traffic authority, we are not the public policy makers on sidewalks. Where sidewalks go in and when they go in and why they go in. We collectively are interested in pedestrian and vehicular safety, but we are not the vetting process for sidewalks. So I just wanted to have the commission aware that there may be some movement through some initiative to get sidewalks on Hood Street. I don't know how that will actually play out, whether or not this information from someone at the state is accurate, whether it would come to contingencies, i.e. New Canaan would have to agree to it as well because the sidewalk needs to continue up to the Talmadge Hill train station. There's a lot of questions that still remain to be answered there. So that's from the sidewalk perspective. There may be some movement on potential sidewalks.
And without sidewalks, just so as we're all aware, just so everybody watching also knows, the state of Connecticut has taken a look at it and denied the request on 2 different occasions for crosswalks. Without sidewalks, intersection, et cetera, on 2 occasions, once most recently in January this past year.
Basically, for some of the same reasons we talked about for the crosswalk at Middlesex School. It's not guaranteeing any level of safety, and you don't have sidewalk systems on at least one side of the road and a safe landing area on the other.
Okay, so again, that's of interest to us, but no action, and we'll see how it plays out with the state.
Well, we are working through trying to get the dynamic speed
speed
signs
signs,
there,
yes.
and that process is still ongoing. I think we will be successful in getting dynamic speed signs on Upper Hood Street.
And then when we get them, do we have to petition the state to post them?
Yes, we have to apply for an encroachment permit and get approval from District 3 Highway, yes. But we've done that before on their other installs. That's not a heavy lift. We have to agree to maintain them in perpetuity and all that stuff, but it's not an onerous task.
So it's a process, it's
Yeah,
just, it's not
process.
And I think as the commission knows, right, Monica McNally also supports that as well, so, you know, I think we make that suggestion, hopefully we get funded.
Okay, so update, but status quo from where we sit. We're driving the bus where we can, which is the dynamic speed signs, and we'll wait on the other. Okay, well, on the topic of dynamic speed signs, Mansfield Avenue at Oxbridge School. Brent, is that you?
Yeah, so I just want to have a discussion around this, and, you know, I would frankly suggest that we actually, you know, maybe include 2 additional dynamic speed signs in that request for the selectmen by outside of Oxbridge and on Mansfield Avenue. So if you take a look at all the 5 elementary schools that we have here, we have dynamic speed signs at each elementary school, a couple on the Post Road, as you know, down by the Y, by Shake Shack, etc. They're obviously very effective, as we know. But the only location where we do not have them today is at Oxbridge, you know, outside on Mansfield Avenue there. So I think once, you know, it's a school area, so I think it's something that we should consider. I did consult with members of the Board of Ed, particularly Duke Deneen, the chairman of the Board of Ed. He socialized that with his board as well, and they're in complete agreement that with us, if we were to suggest that, they would be in agreement with it. 2, I think another reason to potentially put them up there is obviously similar to Upper Hoyt, you have a lot of people exiting the Merritt Parkway. You know, people continue to go pretty fast down Mansfield Avenue as a result of being on the Merritt Parkway. That could help calm traffic there. And on the weekend, believe it or not, even though we don't have sidewalks there, you do see residents walking alongside the road there occasionally. But certainly cyclists, you know, cyclists are out there all the time going down Mansfield. So I would propose that we also ask for funding for 2 dynamic speed signs in that location to be determined.
One each direction?
I would suggest that if we think that there's only a need for 1, but that would be a suggestion.
Typically, they are installed in pairs, that you don't have disparate roadway signage on either direction. Usually, that's how it would be done.
And Kim, to your point, my personal opinion, right or wrong, I think it's less of a concern going towards the New Canaan because you do have a little bit of a bend there and it's harder to hit the gas, but people do it. But certainly going the other way, I think people go
Coming
down
down,
that road fairly quick.
coming
For
hot.
sure, yeah. And you're
North to south.
39 years, Chief, you tell us. I mean, people go down the road pretty quick there sometimes, right? Often.
Yeah, you know, Darien is kind of unique that we don't have that many major roads. And most of our roads are off. We don't have like, I don't know, maybe we have 8 or 9 or 10 major roads, right? And they all have the same issue. That's just, Hoyt Street, you come off the Merritt Parkway. Mansfield Avenue, you come off the Merritt Parkway. Tokenique Road, you come off the highway. US 1 coming through here by headquarters. A lot of people have just come off the highway. It's our roads, we do a pretty good job. And I just got a resident that came up to me last night, thanked us again for the long-serving motor vehicle enforcement on Hollow Tree Ridge Road, in the straightaway by the Weeburn Country Club. He was very appreciative of seeing officers there on a regular basis.
They are there.
As we've been for the last 39 years, because I sat there plenty of days.
Is there any reason you would not want to put dynamic speed signs up there? Is there something that the LTA is missing in there?
There's no drawback of putting in dynamic speed signs. They are certainly effective, especially for those people that are just zoning out a little bit. They're not trying to speed, they're not trying to be a scofflaw, they're just
Yeah, it's a big
not thinking
straightaway.
enough.
It is a big straightaway.
Coming off, and you've been going 65 on,
Finding a spot to put them,
yeah.
because we try not to put them in directly in front of someone's house, and getting a line of sight for solar power plays into the equation. We can get a power drop off a telephone pole if we have to, off a utility pole, so depending on how much sunlight in the spot that we pick, we may have to get a power drop. But other than that, other than the batteries have to be replaced every few years, they're maybe not cheap, but they're not really super expensive. For the bang for the buck, I think there's no downside.
All right, do we need a motion to officially send that request? I'm gonna make a motion.
So I'll make a motion to install 2 dynamic speed signs in the Oxford location, to be determined by Police Department and Public Works.
Second.
Any other discussion or questions, comments?
The only other question that I would have on that, will the commission draft a letter requesting funds?
Yes, we will.
This is for both locations.
2, 1 going each direction.
Hoyt
Did
Street.
we already, I thought we already requested the Hoyt Street one.
We made a resolution for Hoyt Street.
We have the draft, and we'll add this to the draft, and then I think we can get that.
So we're
out.
going to combine them. Got it. Okay.
We requested the dynamic speed signs from the ARPA funding, but it didn't get approved in the ARPA funding.
Okay.
Okay, so we will put these additional ones into our new request. So we will now be asking for 2 for Hoyt Street, 2 for Upper Mansfield in front of the school. And we will draft that letter.
Sounds good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Okay. Resignation of dispatcher.
Chardonnay Fonseca has taken a job with the state of Connecticut, I think emergency communications or emergency management, similar type job, but right now she's our midnight dispatcher, and I think she's just going back to a regular Monday through Friday type job.
As you wait.
Unfortunately, that she is a very, very competent dispatcher, and I didn't want to lose her, but I wish her the best as she moves on to a new assignment. And I think we have now a posting out for dispatch positions. We still have openings that were never filled, and now we have an additional one.
Okay.
What's the total open spots that we now have officially?
I think it's 3
3?
out of,
3 or
right.
4? Yeah,
I
3.
think it's 3.
And is that included in the one dispatcher that's on deployment?
That's the 4th, I believe. I think we're short 3
Short.
spots, but 4 actually, because she's on long-term deployment. I don't know if we'll ever get to a full complement of dispatchers. I hope we do, but we have to look at all options for dispatch moving forward.
And it's not been an easy road
No.
in that hiring. Okay. Chamber of Commerce event at Gardner Center?
Yeah, this one I guess will technically require LTA approval. Not too much of traffic impact, but the Chamber of Commerce is having a I don't know, it's the end of summer jam, or what are they calling, but they're having it at the Gardner Center.
Yep.
So the Gardner Center will be completely cleared out. The entire parking lot will be the location for the Chamber of Commerce event. 21 and up, no underage people, even if you came with your parents, it's 21 and up only. Parking has been secured at the Jerry Nielsen in Thoredale Circle. They were certainly happy to have an officer or two work the assignment to cross folks across the post road. I think it's 6 to 10, I think is the time frame. There's bands, food. It's going to be a good event for the town. I have no aversion to recommending to the commission approve the event for the Gardner Center.
You're gonna fit all that in there, it's good. All right.
That lot is
Sounds like
bigger.
fun.
That lot is bigger than you think. When I looked at it, I go, yeah, they might be right. They could probably fit 300, 400, 500 people in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, well, I will assume that you guys will assess what is needed
Yep.
for traffic, and so I make a motion that we approve the request from the Chamber of Commerce for their event on October 8th at the Gardner Center.
Second.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Those food trucks, by the way, too. They're gonna have in there 4 or 5 or 6 food trucks.
Right up your alley.
I was gonna say Chief's showing up.
Chief's showing up.
Hot dogs.
Pizza.
And I don't think you can buy tickets at the door, right? I think it was
No,
a
it's
It's all in
pre-purchase.
advance, yeah.
That'll be, okay, that's helpful. PSA video.
I think the commission knows, but then I'll bring you up to speed, that we're going to be partnering with the video production class at Norwalk Community College to have them give us some PSAs on people locking their cars, right? And we met with them today with the professor and with, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 students. And I think I mentioned to the commission, we're looking to have a contest. Channel 79 did this once before with students. So I'm looking for $500 from the alarm fund that we could give. We cannot give cash prizes, but we can give, Amazon gift cards. And my initial thought was that we give $500 Amazon gift card to the winning PSA. But in speaking with Jim at Channel 79, he goes, it might be better to get two $250 prizes. I still have $100 in gift cards from Shake Shack that I will throw into the kitty as an additional prize. So 3 of the students would walk away with something, tangible that they could use, either hamburgers and hot dogs, or you can buy textbooks or whatever from Amazon. So I would be asking the commission to approve a $500 expenditure from the alarm fund for this initiative. I think we will certainly get more than $500 worth of value
Sure.
by partnering with Norwalk Community College. And I think I tell you, if you go on, I'm never going to send you the email. Jim Cameron sent me the ones that they did for Channel 79. They're very impressive.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure
really good
they
stuff.
are.
They look
That's
like they
good.
were professionally shot by somebody who knows what they're doing. So these kids obviously have a good handle on what they're doing. We kind of gave them some parameters, right? We're not looking for anything, risque or TikTok-y too much or offensive, or we're looking for something that maybe makes somebody chuckle a little bit, or maybe makes them think about, hey, I really do need to lock my car, right? So
We'll take all the help we can get.
2 or 3 week turnaround, I
Great
think is
idea,
what they're
yeah.
looking for.
That's a great idea.
It's a win-win for them and
2
for
to 3
us.
week turnaround.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I can't wait to see him.
So, the commission's going to have to. I'm not going to be the arbiter of which one's best. So I'm going
Oh,
to
you're
leave, I'm
gonna
going to
be
leave that to
there.
the commission, and we'll do them without knowing the names or who submitted
Yeah.
them. You're just going to pick them blind.
Well, if they're that good, maybe we can leverage them for the, upcoming slow down in town campaign again.
Can do a lot of things with him.
Yes.
I'm
Cost efficient, too.
excited to see him.
And we can certainly use all of them, right? Just we don't have to just use the ones that are the winning ones. We can
Yeah.
use all of them. So I think it's a definitely.
I make a motion
positive.
that we approve the $500 prize fund coming out of the alarm fund for the PSA.
Okay.
Second.
Anything else? In favor? And also from the alarm fund, request for replacement patrol shield.
I will punt to Captain Marin on that one.
So we have a need to replace our current ballistic shield that we keep in a supervisor's car. I had no idea of this, but when I looked at the manufacture date of this particular unit, it was November of 1995. So the shields are made a lot differently. They're more ergonomically correct. They're lighter. They provide increased ballistic protection than what we currently are using. We don't use these shields that often, but when we need to use them, we want to make sure that we're using the best of them.
Is it a handheld shield?
Handheld shield, yeah. I apologize, I guess the picture was too big in your packet there, but you could see the upper left corner of it. But the new shield has improved ballistic protection, will stop all handgun rounds and some rifle rounds. It's lighter. It has a light source for nighttime and dimly lit areas such as basements. The office will be able to hold it for longer periods of time, which, believe it or not, if you've done it before, after about 5-10 minutes, you're looking to switch off with somebody else. We keep it in the supervisor's vehicle, and it can be used during high-risk car stops, building searches, armed and barricaded subjects, etc. And we used it as recently as 3 weeks ago when we responded to a man who was threatening to harm himself with a knife. And we were on site there for a couple hours.
You only have one? And it's just
No, we do have another one that we
supervisor
keep in the
another?
building here,
Okay.
but the detective bureaus use that for operations and different types of warrant executions. And but this one's in kind of rough shape, and we definitely use a replacement, proper
I
replacement.
think it has
So-
served us well since 1995.
We got our money's worth.
Retire.
So initially,
Retire.
the chief can explain, but initially I'd asked for up to $3,500 from the alarm fund, but I did just get another updated quote from our vendor, and it's $2,645. They had made good on the old price that they had initially issued me, and then the chief has an idea of maybe we don't need to use all that from the alarm fund.
You know, the shield is certainly not an inexpensive commodity. I do have $1,900 in my small capital fund. We were funded for $5,000 a year in what they call small cap, for things that come up that are not huge amounts of money, but I have $1,900 left in that, so I would ask the commission to supplement that $1,900 with an additional, what would that be, $750?
You don't feel you need the 1,900 elsewhere?
No, I think now we're 90 days left in the fiscal year.
Okay.
I think we're pretty good.
I make a motion that we allocate $750 from the false alarm fund to supplement your $1,900 for a replacement patrol shield.
Or whatever
Or-
whatever
the delta is.
Second.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Thank you very much.
Okay. That is the end of our agenda, unless anyone has anything else that they want to add. We are going to go into executive session, but we will not be conducting any business coming out. And our next meeting, I know it's supposed to be on the 21st, but I am not here. Is there any way we can do the 28th?
I'm good. Yep.
That works better, actually.
I know it'd be a special meeting, but I'm
4
going to
p.m.
propose the 28th, 4 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Excellent. Okay, with that, we stand adjourned.